All right, so before we head off, let me show you that one over there, which is the one that I did the full rock around of, which is double apex blue. I'm gonna drive this one because the customer's actually coming in to look at this one, but they both have the exact same wheels. The difference is the main color. I mean, the color of the exterior, double apex blue. We got the 21-inch wheels over here. We have the gloss surround. It just looks really nice, you know, full on quad exhaust tips at the back, and then the interior, of course, has the black design for the interior with the red accents. This one over here is going to be the urban gray pearl with the blue interior that looks really sharp. So as you see, you get a blue interior design with the white accents as well. But let's go ahead and take this one out for a drive. And this is what happens, you know, like, you know, customers come in, they got to look at the car, you know, be respectful to everybody. So all right, let's go ahead and get on the drive. So this model right here features the 3-liter turbocharged V6 that produces 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. All that power is sent through a 10-speed automatic transmission that is tuned and calibrated for the Type S compared to the base version of the MDX with the 3.5-liter V6. And this one does feature super handling all-wheel drive, so it's going to help out whenever you are driving on the road or in snowy conditions, which is actually a really good all-wheel drive system. It's very competitive in its class, especially against Audi's Quattro system. Right now, Audi's Quattro system is one of the best in the class when it comes to all-wheel drive system, but this is a second of the best when it comes to all-wheel drive systems. Let me tell you, it is really good. I've used it many times. I've had family members who have had MDX before in the past with all-wheel drive, taking it up north, and they love the way that all-wheel drive system feels. And off over here, give it a little bit of gas. You can feel that V6 purring up, and mind you, this is currently in the comfort mode, so it's not in the most aggressive sport mode. We will switch that sport mode once we get into the curves over there. But overall, setting off, I've driven the MDX Type S before, and I really like the overall suspension. Mind you, this does have the air suspension, so depending on your speed, depending on the drive mode that you're in, it will higher and lower. And for example, if you're on the highway, what it's going to do is lower the overall height of the vehicle for better overall efficiency instead of it being higher up. That's a really good thing that Acura has thought of when it comes to calibrating the air suspension for this model. But we still get the double wishbone front suspension in the front, and they're really, really good. You know, it has a level of sportiness in this vehicle that many of its competition field kind of lacks in comparison, especially since this does compete, for example, against the Lexus TX. That model doesn't have a lot of sportiness to it, even though it is a hybrid vehicle. It doesn't have that level of sportiness that this does for that. But setting off, let's go ahead and actually put it into sport mode, and let's see how this car handles when we go around this corner. Giving it a little bit of gas, really good. You could hear that engine livens up, and yes, there is piped in audio coming in, which is to be expected because a lot of cars nowadays have sound deadening that they do around the whole entire engine bay and around the wheels. But as you see, when you give it some gas, it livens up and it gets you through the speed that you need to get to. You know, it's actually very nice. I like the way this car feels, and the suspension feels very, very well. Yeah, I mean, once you press down, immediately that 10-speed automatic transmission does change. We're actually going to go ahead and put it into S for the transmission, and we're going to see how this feels as well. Yeah, it livens up, you know, very, very, very responsive 10-speed automatic transmission. Mind you, you can shift the gears through the paddle shifters, but if you don't want to do that and you just want to have it in S mode for the transmission, you can go ahead and do that. But nonetheless, very nice overall response. Even turning in, the wheel is very direct. You know, there's not a lot of play in it, especially around going around curves like here right now. But this feels really good. Very impressed. We're gonna make it right over here. Let's go ahead and go around here, give it some gas. And we're gonna go on the highway actually. And we're gonna see how this car performs on there as well. We're actually gonna throw it into S Plus for this version and see how it feels. Turning around this corner here, it's sharper and giving it a little bit of throttle input is actually really good. And it honestly, it livens up very well. I mean, it's a good amount of power for a family 3-row SUV. There's actually not a lot that you need for, 355 horsepower is a lot of horsepower for a, family SUV. And I think this is really well done and calibrated. Even the transmission now feels a lot better than what it used to feel when I first drove the MDX Type S. I mean, this just, it didn't feel that well. This feels a lot better. There is a little bit of road noise coming in from the 21-inch wheels, and that's to be expected. I mean, there are pretty large wheels, and usually that's exactly what happens. But, it's still a really good family SUV. It's gonna get you from point A to point B. This is a very reliable engine as well. There's not a lot of issues that occur with this engine from, recalls or anything like that. It's been on the market for quite some time, and I've heard so many good things about this engine. Even when it comes to air suspension, a lot of the automakers, for example, the Germans, the big three, they have air suspension in their cars. And what happens with a certain amount of years of it being used and daily driven or left in the garage, what happens is sometimes that air suspension does collapse. I have seen a lot of people who have the first model year of the MDX Type S Advance with the air suspension and has not had a single issue or recall with the air suspension. And that's because, Honda and Acura are a very reliable car company, and they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, they test these things for years before they even hit the market and make sure that it's actually usable on a day-to-day basis. I mean, those test mules or those prototypes that you see that Acura drives around on the media or whenever I post them, those cars put over hundreds of thousands of miles on the odometer to make sure that every single aspect of the car is a lot better in the longevity of the ownership. And that's what they do. I mean, every manufacturer does it, but I feel like Acura and Honda just do it perfectly, and they know how to calibrate everything compared to the big German three. All right, so setting off over here. sharp, precise handling. Really good amount of power. Wow, I am impressed. You know, let's go ahead and drop it a few gears. And the brakes feel very solid too. I mean, this is, you know, a SUV that's about 5,000 plus pounds. And even though these Brembo brakes are the 4-piston Brembo brakes, they stop the vehicle very well for a heavy vehicle like this. And honestly, hats off to the team over at Acura and Honda for producing a car like this. And as you see, right there and then, I mean, it got up to speed extremely quickly, you know? Very well done, Acura. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you guys are interested in purchasing any Acura whatsoever, make sure to go ahead and contact Pepe that works here at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and he'll be able to assist you. Thank you once again. Peace.